Welcome everyone, race 7 of the ABN Hyper Formula Championship, and we're live from the circuit that never Magny-Cours for the French Grand Prix. I'm Carmen Hardy, alongside me Kevin Young, to present tonight's action here from Central France. It's been an interesting week of events, both inside and outside of ABN. Kevin, welcome back. We missed you last week. And, Magny-Cours, it's a tough circuit, and as we saw just leading into this, drivers already still finding the limits here pretty hard to manage. What have you been seeing out there?
Yeah, it's also good to be back here. I missed the share last 2 weeks, but it's good back to watch some Hyper Formula action. But yeah, I've seen Emma Kruger. She's made some mistakes in some corners. I've seen other drivers really have some issues going hard into the first major complex of a S-roll and then kind of off. Some of these braking sections are really catching some of these drivers out in kind of the unknown, and even the hairpin of the trickiness, including the Nuremberg section of 7 and 8. That bumpy section is really that quick transition has also caught some drivers out. So it's going to be interesting to note, because we've seen in the past couple weeks and a lot of things, these races can sometimes turn into a bit of nutrition, and this track seems to be taking no prisoners, especially for some that are a little bit more braver on the throttle than others. So it's going to see during the race if some of these drivers maybe dial it back, as we just see Eli Saskett go P2 with a 112 just behind Derek Miller, who's currently still a second ahead of him.
Yeah, obviously we see Christina Ryan comes with a spin. Good save, keeping the car off the wall.
Doesn't hit anything there.
Really good job there.
Mm-hmm. And going to save the virtual team some extra hours in the bodywork department.
Absolutely. Ryan was top of the board earlier in the session. Obviously, about 10 minutes left in practice here. Kind of skipping into the good parts here. We got practice and qualifying. Then we have a little bit of warm-up and then the actual Grand Prix. Christina Ryan sitting currently 5th fastest. The only prismatic car on the track at the moment. Robin Summer, the typical full-time driver that is alongside Christina Ryan, unavailable this week. Taking time to nurse back to health. Had a rough time over the weekend, taking care of some personal matters. So, Robin, we hope you get well soon. In Summer's place, we believe we may be seeing the debut in the World Championship of Caitlin Height. Obviously, for those that watch ABN regularly, everyone will be familiar with Caitlin from the HTL Cup Series, where she won at Michigan last week, as well as in the Champ Car Preseason Challenge, where she made her debut at Dover. So,
also, I remember seeing her in the SCRL Truck Series as well earlier in the year, where she made that very, I would say aggressive, but when the field was saving up the fuel, she was able to say, all right, it's go time, and she just started passing cars left and right like she was the Intimidator back in 2000. But yeah, she's definitely a good pair of hands to have behind a wheel, and if she does make her debut here tonight, she's definitely going to help that Prismatic Motorsports team possibly get some good points.
Absolutely. Miller top of the board still with a 111.343. Obviously, qualifying times, people kind of going out and just putting burst laps in. We've seen qualifying lap times end up not being super relative here. Miller's best lap on the soft set of tires. We don't believe softs are going to be what people use in this race this evening. So it may not even become a factor in qualifying, but we shall see. Top 3 all on the softs. Miller, Sassick, and Pressy trying to make right what was wrong at Silverstone a week ago.
And kind of looking at the times right now, we kind of see it every week. It seems like the medium's the hard's the kind of tire you want to start on in regards to it almost every week. And it seems like in this track, it's no different. However, with such a big gap between Miller and Sassick, it may, right now, at least in practice, now obviously qualifying trim is a completely different beast, and we don't know how hard Sass is going, or Pressy, or Kruger, or whatever. We may see these times fall. But if the gaps stay relatively the same, it wouldn't shock me if everyone at least does not use that soft tire to set down a hard lap, because of the fall off and the tire wear to a degree as well. So I think I'm with you on that point. The only way I see someone really going for a soft run is if they think they can get the pole position, maybe snatch it away from someone. But if not, I think a lot of the field's going to be on mediums or even hards.
See, I'm torn, because we've seen the medium and hard beat the strategy all season long. This is a track where you're almost guaranteed 2 stops in no matter what. You see, obviously, the track map kind of paints a decent picture it's a very tight and confined track, similar to what we saw with Barcelona. In fact, when people compare tracks, Barcelona and Magny-Cours come up as far as tracks that are very tight or very narrow. You don't expect a lot of passing. It's a lot of strategy game. That could be the factor here tonight as you watch Christina Ryan's onboard going through the last sector here. A very fun track in open wheel cars. It doesn't matter if it's Formula 2000, Hyper Formula, Champ Car Machinery. A lot of fun watching everything. And you saw the pit lane exit there. That would believe was Derek Miller.
Yep.
She went by.
It was Derek Miller. And speaking of pit lane, it's a situation of it's kind of a interesting pit lane where it sneaks up on you in 16, similar to Montreal in the degree where the pit lane kind of just is before the start finish straight, and it just kind of sneaks up on you when you're coming through the last couple corners. You have to bear left and quickly get on the brake. So it's not the trickiest pit lane, but definitely with entry and exit, something you do got to make a mental note of, that it's a little bit different than the usual we see at a lot of other tracks.
Obviously, the last time we saw Grand Prix machinery at Magny-Cours, you saw Christina Ryan really struggling to get a grip on that car. But the last time we saw cars at Magny-Cours in an official international capacity, all the way back in 2007. So it's been a long time. This track has hosted the International Formula 3000 series. It's hosted Formula 3 level events. It's hosted endurance events, touring cars. It's even hosted part of the UCI bicycling tour. The same tour. It's the same tour that includes the Tour de France. So this track has still had a lot of fair usage. It made its way onto the iRacing service back last month. And it's a polarizing track, that's for sure. You either love it or you hate it. But everyone on track having to somehow find a way to conquer it this evening if they want to survive 70 laps in the Grand Prix.
You could honestly probably take a dartboard of European or international series and throw a dartboard at it, and if it's in French circuit, it's probably have gone here at least once in some capacity. Oh, a lot of people have gone through this track from old to new, and yeah, it's a pretty great circuit. As we're coming, like you said, near the end of the practice session here, and last chance to really get kind of, I would say, comfortable with the machinery, because you've had many weeks to get comfortable with it, but understand how this thing's going to go around the circuit and any last-minute adjustments before we dig into qualifying for 20 minutes to see if you can be the fastest driver.
Yeah, looking at the onboards, you just tell how difficult this track is. And there's the pit lane, as you mentioned, just off to the left of the chicane to end the lap. Very similar to Montreal. Christina Ryan on the medium compound tire, P2.
Big lap.
P2 on the medium compound tire, still 9/10 shy of Miller on the soft compound tire. But for medium compound, that is a mega lap.
Yeah, 100% true. That is a major lap there from Ryan. We know Ryan can wheel this car around a lot of circuits. She's no slouch when it comes to getting the best performance out of this machinery, and knows how to get it on the podium week in, week out, but still looking for her first win in the Hyper Formula Series.
As you can see on the screen, we debuted this last week at Silverstone. It's here again. The tire compound check here. Millis on the sauce, Ryan on the mediums, as we can see here on her car. Sometimes iRacing likes to lie to us. Sasek Presley both on sauce for MPEM. Jason Blaney on the mediums. Brendan Robert on the mediums as well. Lily Pelletier Sharp on the mediums in 7th. Then you have Emma Kruger in 8th, Rob Collier in 9th, Taj Zhu in 10th, Sears 11th, and Nathan Line 12th. A small field, but it was expected with it being Magny-Cours, newer track. Now everyone had the ability to get the track, with it only being about a month since it's joined iRacing. But a welcome part of the Hyper Formula calendar, and something that'll be sticking around for the 2023 season.
So yeah, we'll give time some drivers to really practice out on this, and then we'll see it here next year, and they'll get some more chance as well, and hopefully a few more drivers do have the ability to be able to purchase this track when that time does roll around. Speaking of, next week we are going to the German Grand Prix, as I think it's going to be at Hockenheim. Is it Hockenheim or Nuremberg? Okay, it's Hockenheim. Good. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. We're having a big European tour here. We started it off with Catalonia, the Catalan Grand Prix in Spain, and we're going to be in a lot of European tracks until March when we go to Suzuka for Japan.
Christina trying to navigate the almost actually navigated that cutaway lane perfectly. Just a little bit of concrete in the way.
Just kind of felt like a 16-year-old doing a driving test right there, just trying to sneak the car
maneuverability.
Yeah. Instead of hitting a comb, she hit a concrete pillar, which is not as good.
Only 2 cars on track as practice gets ready to come to a close, and it's the MPEM duo of Sasek and Pressy. Pressy actually just moved back to pit lane. Sasek's on an out lap, so this lap doesn't really matter. Just staying warmed up and ready to go as the checkered flag flies.
And Miller, a sight you've seen in practice sessions and qualifying sessions. Right now, in this practice session, top of the charts. He's going to try to go get his 5th pole here tonight in qualifying. But we'll see if he can or can't, or if anyone can try to snatch it away from him in 20 minutes' time.
Almost time to find out. Christina Ryan will be the first car on track here at Magny-Cours.
Yep. It will be Ryan, Miller, Roberts, the first 3 out on the circuit. Usually you see it being a Gear Cats machinery that usually goes out first, but not tonight, as both machines are still sitting in the pit boxes. So Prismatic going to lead the charge here and going to set the first time if, obviously, Ryan elects to keep the lap.
All about putting down banker laps and then working from there.
Mm-hmm.
I see home race for Lily Pelletier Sharp, French-born driver for Gear Cats, coming off of her first ever podium in ABN competition, 2nd place at Silverstone 1 week ago. Feeling comfortable, feeling confident. We'll see what the 18 can do. We're looking at Christina Ryan, the number 80 for Prismatic Motorsports. She'll be the first to start a lap here at Magny-Cours.
It's honestly, to go back to Sharp for a second, honestly, I feel like that may be an opening of the floodgates for her because she's had good pace we've seen week in and week out in qualifying, and getting that first podium could really get the monkey off her metaphorical back and really put her in a situation where she could easily maybe get another one, and maybe even get a win. So keep an eye on that Sharp throughout the season here, because that first podium could open the floodgates.
Obviously, Christina Ryan going through setting purple sectors 1, 2, and 3, as you'd expect early on in the session. Medium compound tires for Ryan. Hard compound tires for Sharp and Pressy and Roberts. Medium for Collier and Miller, and medium for Blaney. No one on the softs at the moment.
Yep, only 3 drivers are the ones not on track who could easily switch to another compound.
Yeah.
Stating the obvious. But anyway.
Yeah, Sears, Zhu, and Sasek will be the drivers that are not on track at the moment.
We'll see Ryan coming through the last bit of sector here. Last 2 corners. She is going, obviously, at purple sector 3 here. Time on the board, a 1:12.47. Yep. But I see Miller looking like he's going to beat it.
I think Pressy might be a little bit better off here. Purple sector 1 and 2. Miller does beat it at 1:12.04. We'll see what Pressy can do here. A little bit of a wiggle for Pressy, but still approaching the last 3 corners of the track. Don't want to go too wide there. Don't want to validate the lap time. Hop the chicane curves. 2nd place. It did cost him some. That wiggle was enough to cost him the pole, the provisional pole.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a kick moment here, but he's got plenty of time left in the session to easily get back on that horse and try again. So should be proud of what he did, at least in the short term here. Sharp with 2 green sectors. She's coming close to the line here. It's not probably going to be enough for pole unless she finds a really strong 3rd sector here, but it could put her somewhere in that top 5.
Trying to go for a stronger lap. She's a 2nd off of Miller, but she's on the hard compound tire. So, objective done. Banker lap set. Kruger on a lap now. Current championship leader. This track's a lot of fun. If you're a fan of late braking and just trying to like playing games of chicken, this track has got to be up there in one of the faves. It's so fun and it's so easy. Like once you get side by side, it's so easy to stay side by side. It is an incredible track. It's so complex and difficult though.
Yeah, I'll share that sentiment as well. It's a really nice track. It's kind of a shame that F1 still doesn't go here in that regard, and they go to Paul Ricard, but it's still a pretty great circuit in its own regard. So anyway, though, we do have Ryan, who I think still had a purple sector 1, but it only went to green, so I think it was bested by, I believe, someone else.
It was bested by Bren Roberts.
Thank you.
Kruger crossed the line. Was it about a lap? It was pole lap. 1:11.7.
Had a lot of time in that third sector. Best third sector on the track. Oh, and Ryan takes a spin out of the last 2 corners, and that's going to be Invalidation City for her. And she's going to have to redo it again.
Bren Roberts abusing those front tires on the hard compound tire. So, hard compound tires showing a lot of pace. Appreciate Wesley Jeanette gifting a sub to Guess Who Motorsport. That would be Alex Martin. Wesley, part of the Field Up Motorsports team, saw him in the first 3 races of the season. On track for the team this weekend is Nathan Line and Jason Blaney. Blaney 5th fastest. We appreciate the support, Wesley. We are almost 6 minutes into qualifying. Looking at Bren Roberts, who went 6th fastest, had a really terrible third sector, which took some wind out of his sails. He'll go off track. A lot of drivers on out laps. Taju, 8th fastest on the board. Sears, Collier, Line, and Sasick have yet to set a lap time. Collier and Sasick are the ones on track at the moment. Sears not on track. Neither is Nathan Line. Nathan Line did do an installation lap. Here we go. Wesley Jeanette, 5 minutes saying, sitting here at work, unfortunately. Yeah, know that feeling.
Know that feeling as well.
Christina Ryan not happy with how her lap is going right now. She's on the out lap, trying to get some space. It's a lot easier when it's only 12 cars and not when it's 20. Like, that is a saving grace for a lot of drivers, that they're not having to try to pick and find space on track. That makes it easy for them in these type of situations. Guns it through the chicane, and off she goes.
Yeah, it reminds me of the days back when I did the F1 leagues, and I raced in the F1 leagues as well. Tracks like street circuits, you love to have low fields, even though this isn't a street circuit, but just less chance of calamity and less chance of something happening in front of you. So you take moments like these occasionally when you can you start to be on the top of your game, but you can be a little bit more relaxed knowing that less a chance of you being involved in something unless it's your own doing.
Christina Ryan, a favorite potentially for pole. Emma Kruger has pole position on the hard compound tire. Christina Ryan on the medium. Again, you'd imagine medium compound tires would have a little bit more of an advantage here in qualifying, but we'll find out here in the next 12 minutes who's got what.
Yep, it kind of is one of those, like I said, no one's elected to take a set of soft tires, and as minutes tick by, does someone like Derek Miller, does someone like Nicholas Presley, Christina Ryan, for instance, Jason Blaney, do they try a set of soft tires and maybe try to sneak a pole position or even try to get a top 3 and get an extra bonus point or 2 to add to their name? Because it's kind of, do you take a gamble in qualifying and maybe put yourself in a worse off situation during the race to have a chance? And we'll see if any driver elects to do that. Is Derek Miller just had a personal best, a purple best, I should say, in the second sector. So we'll see what he can do to finish this lap. As he crossed the line, is it enough to get him to pole position or close? It's an improvement, but 2 sectors were yellow, and the second sector was the only reason that lap was anywhere positive. So bit of an odd lap, but really closed the gap up to Kruger, though. But still, just a little bit away.
Pivoting to Jason Blaney, sitting in 5th at the moment.
I think that is Sharp ahead, warming up the tires.
No, that's Kruger. Yeah, Sharp is about to start a lap here. There's Pelletier. Sharp
we'll see what Sharp can do on her run here. She's got one positive, no cars in front of her. Closest one is the 13 machine, and that's about a sector difference. Yeah, of Todd Zhu. So she's going to have a very clean circuit here to try to put down a run. And look at the end of her first sector times. It was green, but not purple enough, and it looks like at least a 10th behind the current best time on the board. Her teammates. The tight S section here. She's going to come down the run through sector 2 here. We'll see where she is on the board again as well as another green, but even a wider margin.
That was a really aggressive run. Wow. And
lockup.
Yep, that lap's done.
Mm-hmm.
Really ambitious there. That's you go for it in sessions like these where you know it's fastest lap that counts. 100%, you run for it as Kruger goes for a slide. In the sand, Derek Miller, personal best, sessions best, sector 1. 21.81 was the sector 1 time.
Which puts him at least well over a 10th clear of Kruger's best personal one. So here comes Miller. Can he keep the purple parade going here?
Yeah.
No, that's a well, it's not a bad lap, but it's not purple.
Yeah, it's not.
It's still better better sector 2 than it is for Kruger, even though it's yellow. So
yeah.
Still looking good.
We talked about how Miller's best sector beforehand was sector 2. Couldn't put together sector 2 that time. Couldn't put together really a good sector 3, and because of that, couldn't improve.
Yep. 111.938 was the time. That's about not that far off because he did a 111.85 was his best, so reasonable. But that second sector was kind of okay, but that third sector cost him a lot of time. And it feel like this will go around now because we saw he got a purple sector 2 and 2 yellows in the first and third. Then that next go around, he got a purple sector 1 and yellow sector 2 and 3. So now it feels like he's going to master that third sector, and we'll see if he can get any closer. So running away with Bren Roberts, he's coming through actually not coming through the last couple corners. He is currently off past Nuremberg, coming up through the end of sector 2 here. Had a green sector 1. So we'll see if he can get any closer to those top times. Tries to try to beat a 26.85 to be purple. And it was 27.63 that sector. So relatively okay. And it looks like he did not feel comfortable with that lap, and he will just pull it back off the track. So now we'll cut back to Kruger.
Kruger still top of the board on a lap time. One of only 4 drivers on a flying lap at the moment. Nathan Lyon did another installation lap and returned to pit lane. Another run into sector 3 for Kruger. A lot smoother here.
Laney just improved.
Whoa!
Here comes Kruger. Oh, nope. That's a mistake.
Well wide. And Miller again faster in sector 1, 21.79.
He's really feeling comfortable in that first sector, and we know that second sector is the masterclass to feel. As long as he gets close to it, it's about maximizing his energy in the third sector here. So coming across sector 2, let's get close that time. It was a 20, it was relatively okay. So we'll see what he can do in the third sector. Which, when looking at it from above, doesn't feel like it's the trickiest, but those last couple corners could really catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. We see many drivers lock it up. Just we saw with Kruger go a little bit too deep through the quick hairpin off the corner, chicane, and it's enough to be a green sector 3, and that will be pole position for Derek Miller. A 111.377 to his name, 3/10 clear of Emma Kruger, 7/10 clear of Nicholas Presley, and he did it on a set of mediums.
Presley in third. Yeah, we saw Miller again. Purple sector 1 got sector 3 put together. Just needs to put together sector 2 to really kind of maximize that lap time. Right now, still under threat from the likes of Kruger and Pressy. Sasek just went P4 with a 112.24.
And a lot of time in that third sector. That's what got him that fourth position there.
There's a lot of times, like the easiest sector is sector 1. It gets harder from there. And when you look at, just look at how difficult sector 2 is. If you mess up the start of sector 2, that entire lap's done. Like you just can't get it back. Pressy very timid through the chicane there.
Yeah, could hurt his run here because you got to try to maximize your speed going down that long straight. So a little less speed could easily hurt your sector 1 times. But to kind of continue on your point, though, you're 100% correct because even the little sense, but also in a sense of any track, really, where sector 1 is kind of, you're going to be your best. And if you make a mistake there, you hurt sector 2. And at the same time, the pressure gets more and more built up as the lap continues, where you're coming in the last couple corners on a very hot flying lap. And it kind of hits in the back of your mind, and you may make a mistake not thinking about it. So trying to keep the nerve and keep them calm under pressure, as we're going to see sector 1 was not that great for Pressy. So we'll see if sector 2 is any more of an improvement, and it looks like it's another yellow. So it's not looking like it's going to be improvement way wide there, and that's going to most likely be an invalidation. Yes, it is. He will tow back to the pit lane and take a second attempt at that. 4 minutes to go.
On a lap. Yeah, people are about to approach their final runs. Again, a lap time here, like you have a window. A lap time here, if you're really, really quick, it's a 71-second lap time. Average, you want to have 75 seconds on the board.
Yeah.
So.
And you got to calculate the out lap, which is basically 2. Yeah, you got 1, maybe 2 more laps left if you really time it correct.
Miller blinked a little bit here. Approaching the final couple corners here. And we'll throw it away. Not what he wanted.
Nope.
Kruger on an out lap. Sasek on a lap. Brian on a lap. Kruger about to start her lap. Aggressive through the chicane to start a lap. Christina Ryan in sector 2. Christina put a lot of laps here during the winter break. Worked very hard in trying to learn this track. That's an interesting line.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too. It's like they want to go wide and then sweep in to try to, I guess, go straight that little div chicane there and really just keep it as straight as possible and flat as possible. At least that's for my assumption. Everyone is currently out on the circuit for the most part, except for Collier and actually I think Lyon is out there too. So yeah, just Collier, the only one.
Caitlin Hyde has joined. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep, good.
So Prismatic will have 2 cars on the grid.
Ooh, and we just see Kruger looping in the pit lane there.
Ryan on a second lap. This will probably be her last go at it. When she gets back to start finish line, there'll be less than a minute left.
And I think it's qualifying done for Kruger. The clock is ticking down here. Unless she leaves the next 10 seconds, that's going to be done for her, along with Collier and obviously Height, who's not stepped in the vehicle yet. But Kruger, currently second, is banking that a second will be enough to keep her on the front row of the grid.
Christina, really good looking lap. We'll see if it stands. The last lap didn't count. Cloud cover, closing down the track, adding a little bit of grip. Ooh, that's going to be a little bit wide. She's got time for one more if she's got the fuel for it.
See if she go any faster. No, obviously that last locked up cost any chance.
Yeah, it wasn't an invalid lap, which was important, but it wasn't a good lap either. She's pushing for it. Miller, fastest sector 2.
Mm-hmm.
And throws it away again. Does not like it, will not care for it.
I think he may have made a mistake because his lap clock had me at 2:49, so I think he may have spun it somewhere after sector 2.
Pressi's done. Sasek trying to jump into the top 3. Top 3 in pit lane. Sears sets a lap. Enough for 11th, but it puts him on the board. Qualifying. Checkered flag is out. Sasek trying to get into the top 5. That is, I believe, Height in front. It is. So Sasek in trouble, but both of them on flying laps. Height's no slouch here in these cars, I should say.
Sasek looking to try to get one more spot here, just because he gets, again, 4th and 3rd. There's a difference of a point. 4th gets nothing, 3rd gets a point. So it's all to play for in that number 9 machine. He's just going to get...
Ooh. Oh, no.
Height loses it.
So she'll start at the back of the field. Sasek's going to be mad about that because that was a potential chance at 3rd. You saw how much he gained on Height there. Peltier Sharp sits 7th for her home Grand Prix. Roberts 8th, Collier 9th, Zhu 10th, Sears 11th. Line on another installation lap here. So there must have been something that misfired on that number 33 machine for Fueled Up Motorsports. But getting it dialed in, looks like he's going to do a full lap here. He ran many laps in practice. Nathan Lyne's somebody who takes a lot of time to get something right here. Obviously, he's learning a car well out of his depth. Very familiar with stock car racing and oval racing in general. But Nathan Lyne's going to sit back. He's got the data he needed, and we are good to go here. So 10 minutes away from starting from the grid up for the French Grand Prix. Again, race 7 to 16. For those new to ABN coverage, I'm Carmen Hardy alongside me, Kevin Young, to bring you tonight's broadcast. Air temp, 72 degrees. Track temp, a little bit hotter, 98 degrees Fahrenheit. 41% humidity. Engines should be pretty well behaved here in Magny-Cours. Partly cloudy, a little bit windy, 10-mile-an-hour winds coming from the northeast. You see some cars on track here. That's Derek Miller that just pulled off in the hairpin. We'll take a look at the points as they enter for the driver's standings. Emma Kruger, top of the board. 96 points to her name, 100 points to her name in the Super Sprint Championship. She leads all 3 of ABN's in-house competitions, Tuesday through Thursdays. She wants to extend that gap a little bit. Derek Miller putting up a fight, though, takes pole position. So he'll have 3 points added to his name here at the end of the race, at bare minimum. Eli Sasek in 3rd in points. Bryn Roberts 4th in points. Then you have Blaney, Sears, Ryan, Pressy, Jeanette, Hayward, Collier, Blankenship, all top 12 here. Donnie Crouch not present for tonight's event. Peltier Sharp is present. Scored her first major haul in points last week at Silverstone. Looking to add a little bit more to that right now. Starts 7th on the grid tonight. Tommy Reynolds for Team Sideswipe, 15th in points as we scroll on down the row. 20 cars have scored points in the season. Still a lot to play for as we approach the halfway stage in the season.
Yep, and the constructors is not that far. It's good battle shaking up between Gear Cats, Nicholas Presley Motorsports, Necklace Sim Racing. as well. So a lot to play in the constructors and the drivers. Even though the gap's a little bit big right now, as we just went over, easily a catchable distance for Derek Miller if he puts it all together. Even Eli Sastek as well, and Bren Roberts. So nothing easily, yeah, like you said, still a lot to play for as we're at the halfway point. No one's got a hand in that title walking away with it yet.
We'll look through the qualifying results here.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Pressy qualified third. It was MPM in row 2. Then Ryan and Blaney, row 3. Pelletier Sharpa lineup row 4 alongside Bren Roberts, with Collier, Zhu, Sears, Height, and Line rounding out the field.
Mm-hmm.
There's a look at your qualifying results. Again, we are in the warm-up session here. So everyone has about 6 minutes left to dial everything in before we get ready to go.
Some elect to take this opportunity to run some last laps. Some elect to use this opportunity to get some extra water or take a bathroom break. And others elect to take this as a standing start practice to figure out how the car handles on the thing. So it's a lot of different drivers do a lot of different things during this little 10 minutes they have left before they have to settle in for 70 laps.
About 5 minutes left. We're going to step aside to get ourselves something to drink and ready to go here as we get ready for the French Grand Prix. We hope you all do as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. 70 laps here at Magny-Cours for the French Grand Prix. Going to ride on board with the driver here real quick. Caitlin Height. Ride on board with her. About 2 minutes left until we get ready for lights out for the French Grand Prix. Warm-up underway. Riding on board with the Prismatic Motorsports machine of Caitlin Height.
Yeah, because she joined late and she didn't have much track time per se. So this is basically, other than that one installation lap she was able to do when she said loop the car, this is going to be the last couple laps she's going to get for all the chips are on the table and the laps matter. Another thing we got to keep an eye out for the race as well is it kind of crossed my mind looking over the stats real fast is Derek Miller's looking to kind of bunk a trend here where he wins pole position and then doesn't have the best performance in the race. He's got 5, including today, he's got 5 poles for his name and only has 1 win. So he's looking to maybe try to buck that trend and put a second win in that column, tying him for the most in this short season so far.
Less than a minute left here in the warm-up session. It's Sasek, Miller, Height, Pelletier, Sharp in the warm-up times. Warm-up times not super relevant here, but again, everyone getting some laps running in. Now it's all about race prep and getting everything ready to go, making sure your fuel load's where you want it to be, because there's no refueling in these races. And as we saw in Spain at the end of 2022. Sometimes that'll cost you.
Last 20 seconds here. Only 3 drivers left on track. The 9, the 56, and the 22. The 9 of Sasek, the 56 of Miller, and the 22 of Blaney. Doing their last little things.
Checkered flag is out for warm-up here.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's almost showtime here in France. Here's the starting grid. It's Miller, Kruger front row, Pressy and Sasek row 2, Ryan and Blaney row 3, Pelletier, Sharp and Roberts row 4, Collier, Jus row 5, Sears and Knight row 6, with Nathan Line rounding out the back row 7 on his own. Drivers, are you ready to go?
Oop, someone just... Oh, Sasek blinked a little bit there for a second. Waiting only a couple.
Waiting
Collier
for
and
Roberts and Collier.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is going to be a lot of fun. 70 laps, 191 miles and change for the French Grand Prix. It's Miller and Kruger on the front row. We've seen chaos at this track on lap 1 in the past. Roberts and Collier both starting from pit lane. 5 red lights. And the French Grand Prix is underway.
Good start
and a
there.
Really good start by Pressy. Once again, blistering start. Trouble further behind. That was Caitlin Height.
It was. Kept it straight, though, but did cause a bit of a checkup behind. That's a big loser. I think Brenner started in the pit lane, but it caused a big stack up there behind. That's going to cause a little bit of a accordion effect here. As you do see Kruger making a move for position on Pressy. Can he make the move? I was like, can she make the move? My mistake. And she will, and that'll put her up to second position. So Gearcat's in the second and fourth already. Sharp, one of the big winners on that restart, as she's really worked her way up for the field.
Yeah, Sharp was the biggest winner of that, all the way up from 7th to 4th. Todd Jus up to 7th from 10th. And Caitlin Height, still positive from where she started. But not where she thought she was going to be at the end of lap 1. A little bit of a wiggle there. Christina Ryan's lost 2 spots. One of the biggest losers so far in the opening lap. Miller still leading over ahead of Kruger, Pressy, and Pelletier Sharp. In the early going, Pressy locking up a little bit. You can't abuse those tires too awful much in the Grand Prix. Once we get underway, tire health will be vital here tonight.
You can see Kruger already starting to cut the gap down on Miller here. Slowly chipping away at it. As we do see, ooh, I think Blaney's got around Blaney for 7th, and I think something's happened to Blaney. Yes, he has lost 3 spots already. Slowed down that long straight just the end of Sector 1, and that's going to be a bit of a mistake here. Battle between Sharp and Pressy for 3rd. Is Sharp going to try to keep it wheel to wheel? And Sharp just going to clear Pressy there. Daring move, I should say. And we'll get around, and now it's a battle for teammates for 4th. Is another lockup from the 94 machine.
Pelletier Sharp up to 3rd. Hard compound tires 2nd through 5th. Medium compound tires on the car in front. That's Derek Miller. But Kruger holding on. Actually did a really good job through Sector 3 that time around. Holding on to the tail end of Derek Miller. It is Bedlam, though, behind 3rd place Pelletier Sharp. Pressy, Sasek, and Christina Ryan, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We are on lap 3 of the Grand Prix.
Big gap. We got top 2 of Miller and Kruger basically pulling away from 3rd position here. As we
really
do see
good
Ryan,
lunge.
Yeah, great lunge there by Ryan. Saw an opportunity because it was basically just ride where Pressy was not and take the position.
Christina trying to get up into the top 4. She wants a chance for the podium. Pressy may have just given her an opportunity for 4th. Side by side still. And that's what I was talking about in practice. Once you get side by side, you can stay side by side as much as you want to. Pressy thought better of it. Didn't feel confident going side by side through this sector. And that's why Christina Ryan overshot a little bit. But still going. Still holds on to 4th place. And now the MPEM cars trying to figure out who's going to be in the top 5 and who won't be.
Just saw in the distance there for a second. I think Blaney also locked it up there and was off in the gravel pit there. And he was off the pace a little bit anyway, but that was a big enough mistake that cost him time there. As Height making a early pit stop here.
Not sure what's going on with Caitlin Height here. Early pit stop on lap 4.
Let's see if anything happened. I'll take a quick look at the instant and replay situation here, but I'm not seeing anything. But she was kind of in position with the battle here, so... Yeah, I'm not seeing anything really worth noting per se, contact-wise. But she did go off at least on lap 1, so...
Ryan on the tail end of Pelletier Sharp's machine. Pelletier Sharp tapping the drive defensively. Christina Ryan a lot quicker on the medium compound tires. She's sliced through 2 of the hard compound tire drivers. Trying to get through Pelletier Sharp and up to Kruger. You see the gaps already 7 seconds between Pelletier Sharp and Miller. Miller trying to walk away from Kruger as well.
Miller made that walk in a bit easier as he just set the fastest lap of the race, a 14.6.
Yeah, Miller right now on fire.
But Kruger playing the long game here because hard tires the medium, so Kruger is going to be a little bit stronger near the end of the run. As
Ooh,
there goes.
that is not okay. And that's trouble. That's Christina Ryan, EJ Vizo style, and trouble. Ryan upside down. Pelletier Sharp's race is over.
Yep.
And Christina Ryan's going to be fuming over that.
I don't blame her 100%.
That is a wild crash. Christina Ryan out of the race, as well as Pelletier Sharp. Wow.
Yeah, that just wow. Clip the grass. Could argue a block. Could argue whatever. But it was a situation.
We'll see what happened. We'll take a look at it. But that completely flips what was the podium upside down.
I want to see the replay.
A look at it. So this is going down the back straight. We're going into the first chicane, and we'll see if we can get a different angle of it. We'll actually see if we can go on board with Christina Ryan here. On that one,
the hole was closing. Like there was, like you could argue she had the speed, but she didn't have a wheel there when the door was closed. But at the same time, it's kind of hard. You could argue Ryan maybe should have backed it out there, at least from that angle.
Yeah, because you see here, Pelletier Sharp's beginning to move towards the right here. Like, that gap's consistently closing.
Yeah, that apex is coming, and like she's taken the apex there, and by the you could argue the hole's there, and then as soon as like she thinks she's gonna make a move, the apex is right there. So she's just turning into the apex closes, and Ryan either doesn't know the apex is coming, or thinks she could get a fender in there before the apex hits, and she just mistimed it. Honestly, that was, I don't think, you could say sometimes Sharp makes sometimes odd situations, but that, I don't feel like Sharp did anything wrong there.
I 100%, like, when we saw it in motion, it's like, oh, wow. I do not envy our director competition, because that's going to end up falling under review almost certainly.
100%. I think you'd go either way on that one. You could maybe, if you're Ryan, you could make a case, and if you're Sharp, you can make a case. There's no clear-cut this here. Because even there, it looks like she's almost on the grass before the apex hits, though.
That hit over the wall into the fence for Ryan is insane.
Luckily, she doesn't have a direct drive wheel, so the feedback ain't going to be enough to really put her in a situation where she may be hurt. But, oof.
Again, one more look at it here.
It's like she almost hit the... Yeah.
That is contestant for the ugliest crash we've seen in this championship thus far. Mm-hmm. And you saw it left Christina Ryan wrong side up. Miller leads the race.
Yep, Miller still leads. Half a second gap over Kruger. That gap has come down a bit, and then it's 15 seconds from Kruger to Sasek. So we know, looking at the chat, we know that there's a lot of Prismatic Motorsport followers in the chat there, and they have the right to their opinion as well. So they're going to probably be vocal over one situation or the other, and we know GearCats fans would be vocal in the other direction. So like I said, I do not envy, like you said, I don't envy the director of competition here, as that's going to be a tough call to make.
Yeah, that is going to be a very hotly contested issue, I think, going into the weekend. We thought the super sprint last night at Rebel Ring was going to be the hottest topic. May have to move that one to the side. Obviously, early going, still lap 8 of this Grand Prix. And two of the contenders for what would have been a really hotly contested podium out of this race after a violent crash on lap 6.
Todd Zuz also had a moment as well, going off into corner 9 there, going to fall down to 9th position. But yeah, that takes out the hometown favorite, and it also takes out one of the strong Prismatic Motorsport cars. That's just, you don't like to see that. You want to see everyone finish the race and some entertaining racing. But race moves on, and I guess you could say series moves on, as we just have this battle forming for the lead here with Emma and Derek, as I think Kruger made a slight mistake, as she had it down to half a second, and it popped back up to 2, so...
The issue is that Caitlin Heights moved between her and Miller. There's Heights' car the other prismatic machine that is still rolling so far in 10th. Right now,
you have a
coming back down a little bit, 1.3 for Kruger. Just trying to navigate. Height let her go. But Kruger now has to try to reel that time back in. Kruger, again, as we mentioned before, on the favorable strategy. Start out on the hard compound tire. Miller's on the medium. And that is the biggest thing. It's sort of going, the further we go into this race, that's going to be more of an effect than we saw at Silverstone a week ago, where we had, it was sort of a similar overlap between the mediums and the hards. A very different approach this week in Magny-Cours. Miller trying to hold strong in that race lead, the position he's held since the start of the race. But gaps down now to 0.6 of a second. Sasek in third, 14.5 seconds behind this. So it shows what that wreck on lap 6 did to the podium battle. Could have easily been a four-way fight for this race lead with how Miller's pace has dropped off so far in these opening 10 laps. But now it's a two-horse race at the front. Sasek still losing time. It's down to 15 seconds between Kruger and
Kruger and Sasek there.
Yeah.
Gap 15, 15.5 to the lead of Miller.
Yeah.
As from what I'm seeing, I'm keeping an eye on it. It's held station, so it's kind of fluctuated a little higher, a little lower, but Sasek's making no inroads on either car. So there's really nothing to really be gained. He's going to need some help or some controversy up within the top two to even have a chance to get back in this fight here. But it's kind of expected, as we know, again, mediums, maybe we're a little bit into this. Only on lap 10, though. The medium fault shouldn't be that bad in comparison. But as the session goes on, like we saw, as we see before the pit stops, Kruger's tires, if she keeps locking them up like that, though, I don't know.
Yeah, you lose your advantage if you keep abusing them like that. But you see how much Kruger's trying to push, because the objective is to get into the DRS range and stay there at least enough to try to make a lunge going into really the largest braking zone, the largest passing opportunity on the track. And it's a close margin. 0.9 is what it's fallen down to here. Another lockup on that left front. But a lot smoother through this final complex of corners going onto the front straightaway. Brings it from 0.9 to 0.5. We can tell where Kruger's strongest. Caitlin Height was early pit stop a lap down, the only car a lap down and still running in this race.
Correct. But yeah, Kruger has her sectors where she's stronger, and Miller has his sectors where he's stronger. And it's just trying to take an advantage of where you know best and where you can take advantage. Like, put yourself in a spot, like, you have to prove in the sector that the other driver isn't. And see how that shakes up. It also is the closest battle we have on track. Is next closer is Blaney and Collier, which is about a 1.5 second gap. So, yeah. But this is, like we said, for the lead. And another lock up there by Kruger, though. That corner is really catching her out. Corner 9 is really putting some wear on that tire.
Miller leading this race still. Again, we're on lap 12, so it could have been a... This start could have went wrong for a lot of reasons, and it took us 6 laps.
Oh, Kruger! In the wall! Last corner caught her out there, and she taps it in the front. Not probably hard enough. Doesn't look like she's got any end plate damage there, but she did tap it, at least on the screen, but maybe she got away with it. But that's going to put her at least 11 seconds back now, and gap is growing from just getting a little bit too wide off last corner. And in turn, we'll take a replay look here again. You'll see as she's just coming through these last couple corners here. Bit of a lock up there, and then the last bit of this chain here, and just a little bit too wide. Gets a wheel on the grass, and then you see there just a tap. But it doesn't look like, at least from the perspectives I'm seeing, that if there's any damage, it's minimal. Now right on board here again through the chicane. You see just a bit wide, and rear tire clips grass, and doink.
Sasek in third place. That's a little bit like the luck he was needing to try to make some inroads on the front, too. However, now Kruger's able to continue on. So, we'll see what Sasek can make of it. Sasek has started gaining on both Miller and Kruger. Miller started easing off the pace to try to make those mediums last a little bit more. Kruger obviously just overheated those hard compound tires by sliding and spinning, and who knows if there is front wing damage on that number 70 for Gearcat's machine. So we'll see right now what it looks like as everything begins to settle down.
Yep, we'll see in the next lap, too, if she does have to pit, but I don't think she's got any flags as well, though, for requirement damage, so she'll at least be going to her next pit stop, and this lap time will be able to really be a good indicator of where that car currently is as the tires are coming down, and we'll see if there's any damage or not, because it would affect lap time in question. But yeah, Miller can now kind of back it down, get those tires a little bit longer to the distance, and it maybe gives Sasek some more life, like you said.
So Kruger sitting second, 4.5 seconds ahead of Sasek, 11 seconds behind Derek Miller. And now it's push, push, push. Try to make something happen here. The one person that Kruger does not want to lose points to is Miller. She's already lost 1 point to him from qualifying. She'd be losing another 8 really at the moment, with Miller also having the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. So that eats away at the points gap pretty significantly.
You're 100% correct. Like I said, with the long races left, you don't have to put a Herculean performance every week. You just got to slowly chip away at it and bring the gap down slowly week in and week out until you're caught back up. See a chat question there. Yeah, height is running pretty well right now. 2:15.4s, like you said, like the chat person said. And she's showing great pace, but she's still trapped one down at the very least because of an early pit stop. So, but she is... Oh, Kruger makes another mistake there.
Yep. Commentator's curse right there for Kruger. And that will drop her to third. Sasek going by. Now the pressure's beginning to cook, and now the point situation begins to look a little bit worse.
Yep. It goes against the racer's edge, but it feels like at a point she maybe Emma needs to slow it down just a bit here. Get the car back under you, let the tires really cool down before you really aggressively push, because kind of pushing hard here when the car doesn't feel that great could put you even worse and worse, and you don't want to be in a situation where you end up DNFing because you went a little bit too hard. And a little bit more worse news for Kruger as well. Pressy just set his personal best there, another green, a 1:15.6, I believe it was. The times are a little bit similar to Kruger's, at least by lap, but the gap is 4.4. Looking over gap times right now, Miller is holding station, I would say, because the gap was 15 seconds before the spin happened, and it's now still 15 seconds. So even if Miller's bringing the tires down a bit to try to save some rubber, save some, make those beams go a little bit longer, he did a 1:16.1, he's able to keep Eli in check, and Eli's not making any strong inroads on that 56 machine. Kruger's got it down to 2.7 in closing. She knows she can get back up to second position.
Yeah,
Just seeing the
absolutely. She
distance.
can. Kruger's got the pace to do it. She has the pace to match Miller and really kind of keep an edge on Miller. It just now she's 16 seconds behind, 17 seconds behind. That's going to be a difficult thing to make back up. Like the difficulty she was having just getting to Miller and getting around him, exacerbates that problem. This Caitlin Height, 15.8. She is running faster than Miller, trying to unlap herself. There's Miller right in front of her.
Yep. Oh, Kruger's made another mistake. Half spin there, but keeps at least right, and that's again going to cost all that time she just gained on Sasek. Is now back to square one, basically.
Yeah, the more mistakes that she makes, and you have to think that at least the rear tires are probably beginning to cook. Because these are not like, she's not locking up and going off. She's not understeering. These are spins. So this is under acceleration. This is under the unload of the corners. A lot of either oversteer or just overheating the rear tires, and they've lost their optimal grip right there. Another giant step out under braking. Rear balance brakes will do that as well. But right now, those rear tires on Kruger's machine, super, super sensitive. And there's a point where you really have to nurse those tires to get them back to the range you need them to be. And I don't know if she's... it's so hard to do, even in the best of positions. But Kruger's beginning to feel the pressure of Pressy from behind, because Pressy's about 5 seconds away, which is another critical mistake away from a position here. So I have to manage that. Tom Sears up in 5th, and now phenomenal race for him. He's showing what it really takes here. Just be precise, be calculated, be methodical, be patient. Sitting right now top 5, 2-time podium winner so far this season, showing why he's got those podiums.
Speaking of the driver that's doing this is Brendan Roberts, who started in the pit lane up to 6th position, 1.5 back on Tom Sears there, and the gap is closing a bit. Ran a well faster lap there than Sears, so battle bit heating up for that top 5 position right now. As Roberts, another driver that's just been kind of that consistency and just able to kind of put, by the end of the race, you're seeing him in a good spot. He's 4th in the points and got 4 top 5s to this name so far this season. So another strong driver as well, trying to make that another one add to his name. Yep, Haley Deadly just pointed out in the chat as well that Height did get around Derek Miller, so Caitlin Height did unlap herself, and now back on the lead lap, at least for the time being. And now Todd Zhu, who took a pit stop there, is going to give Height a position to put Height up the 9th. That was, it looks like possibly a routine pit stop for Zhu, a little bit early in the window, and he's going to go for a set of softs.
Yeah, he's committed to a multiple stop strategy here.
Yeah, we're focusing on Roberts and Sears. As again, Roberts is a little bit faster than Sears. He is on a set of hards. Sears on a set of mediums. How aggressive will Roberts be to get this move? Because it's about a 10-second window to Pressy in 4th, so you don't want to dilly-dally for too long if you think you got a bit of a faster car. Not going to be close enough in this braking section to do anything. We'll have another DRS section coming up, just coming out of going into corner 14, that he can maybe set up for something at the end of 15, going into the C pin. With that poor of a sector 2, though, doesn't look good. Yeah, he's going to be just, I think, out of DRS range. Yep, he is going to be out of DRS range here. That's the activation point right about there. He will not have a chance to really attack back here on Sears. Meanwhile, looking back at the top 4, we do got Kruger, who's gotten the gap down another 1.5 seconds on Sasek. So she has reclosed it and has grown the gap on Pressy as well. So, again, she has the pace in that machine. That 70 machine is quite fast. She's just going to have to try to bring the rear tires, cool them back down a bit, and just try to, again, get to that next pit stop window, and then maybe really start attacking when you get out of it, when you can change off those slightly worner and warmer hearts. But that's not going to be for many laps. There's Caitlin Height, currently in 9th.
Yeah, we saw. So she's beginning to gain on Collier and Blaney. Collier, 23 seconds ahead. Obviously, Caitlin Height on a different strategy. Had to pit early in this Grand Prix. Right now, she is making inroads on everybody. Right now, yeah. 15.56. She's the fastest car currently on the track. So keep an eye on the 55 of Caitlin Height as she rolls on through here.
Right now in the points, but obviously more points helping the constructors and your own pocket, so you want to go as high as you can. And there's Derek Miller, our race leader. Gap has fallen to 12.2 from him, the Sasic, but it's not really closing that much more at a rate that Miller is really, I guess, threatened at the points. The gap is between Kruger and Sasic is kind of held station right now, 2.7. It's just slowly trying to chip away again. Another lock up there, though. Going in the 14. Brent Roberts all over the back of Tom Sears here. Sense a pass maybe going to be coming. He had a sector 2 here, well closer than he was last lap. Bit of a lockup by Sears there. It's going to open door for Roberts if he so chooses. It's going to have DRS. Flap going to open, but it's a bit of a short course here, so he's not really going to be able to really take advantage. But he's going to try to set up, again, down the long start finish right here to maybe try something.
You had an issue. Looks like he's back and rolling now. We'll take a look and see what that was like in just a second.
Oh, Tom Sears on the gravel pit, and that's going to allow Bren Roberts to sneak on by there. Just a bit of pressure there affected Tom Sears, and Sears is now going to fall down to 6th, and Bren Roberts is going to take 5th position. A bit of a press X to intimidate moment there. Now Roberts is up to 5th.
A look at Eli Sasic. 2.4 seconds ahead of Kruger. Sears losing time. It looks like that may have began to kind of level out between Sears and Roberts.
Yeah, I think Roberts is still trying to get a little bit of the gravel off those tires. Ooh, bit of a blink there by Sasic. Yeah, hard to start. It seems like even though we're on lap 24, it's still got a long way to go till the end. So take a look at the replay. I think for Todd Zhu's incident here. Hold that thought. Okay, going hard at that corner.
Not really much of a crash there.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a
crash.
Unless it's going to come a little bit later here.
I don't see anything other than him just running wide.
Running wide and maybe slow enough that the game maybe triggered that as an incident. Because he was pretty slow in that corner.
Instant director lying to us.
Oh, Kruger's got it within a second. She is there.
Roberts had to slow down there. Honestly, this is the battle that Kevin's looking at here. Battle between Kruger and Sasek. Emma around the gearbox of Sasek here. See if Emma can get by. She's had trouble getting around cars here. She's able to follow Miller really closely in that battle for the lead. Lap 25.70. Gotta start making passes happen. Can she do it?
Yeah, because gap's 13 seconds to Miller. And if she thinks she can try to win this race, she needs to get around Sasek and start hunting down Miller to have a chance. Because right now Miller kind of controls the tempo and the pace. So good entry and exit there. Just going to try to set up for a move down.
Really good. Really good over Sasek. What a move. Emma Kruger following Sasek. Sasek bobbled it just a little bit. Kruger kept it planted and got around. And when DRS used it enough to defend going into the hairpin here, but Sasek still hot on her heels.
Yep.
Really good move.
And Sasek ain't going to let her go away too far. But I honestly generally thought that was not, she was not going to, I didn't think she was going to make a move at that position on track. I feel like she was going to set up going into Gulf and corner 4 or corner 5. Didn't think that was going to be the passing point for her, but she's willing to put the car in spots. That's what you see about Emma week in and week out. She's willing to make moves and throw the car in situations that other drivers may not be willing to.
They're coming up on the lap car Taju, who's been on lap 18. And he is going to let both of them go through here pretty easily. Not getting in the way of this battle for second place. Kruger through the final chicane. Gonna try to pull away and get closer to Derek Miller. This battle is still on. And I think Sasek is aware of that.
Yep. Sasek to try to fight here. We just saw from lap to lap to lap that Kruger has just a slightly faster car in this run right now than Sasek does.
And you see the gap between Sasek and Pressy here. We'll show the gap between Kruger and Sasek. You just see how much that gap shrunk between the two. Until Kruger ended up getting away.
It's worth noting that it was at 1.2.7 on her first attempt, and then she had that mistake. It went back up to basically where it was, and she worked it right back down. But it feels like that's going to still be on the back of Kruger's mind, at least a little bit, as she tries to hunt down Miller, that the mistake she made. The question is, did she was able to learn about what the car can and can't do to try to minimize those mistakes? Meanwhile, Sears and Blaney has caught the back of Sears here. Gap's under half a second. Oh, and yep, Sears has just gone off there, and that's going to allow Blaney to get on by. Sears just missed the corner, and that's going to promote Blaney up to 6th and Sears down to 7th. So the past 10 laps have not been kind to the two-time podium driver here in the Hype Formula Series.
Well, look at this battle between the top two. Miller on your screen right now. This is the time delta between Kruger and Miller. You see Kruger's been chipping away at it. All but one lap, Kruger's been gaining time out of the last 5.
It's another improvement there as well for Kruger.
7/10.
Yeah, she's coming. But it's still a long hill to climb.
Caitlin Height still holding on to 9th place on the lead lap. Miller right behind her. Looking at Miller now. There's Height just up ahead. Collier about a third of a lap ahead of Height still. So still some work to do.
Yeah, it's been a good recovery drive for Height. But obviously, she's going to want more. Trying to see what's like. Everyone's kind of like I said, everyone's kind of just in their own little race right now, and I think pit stops are going to be the make or breaks part of this race, as they would say. Is again, time can be gained or lost.
Miller here, sitting in the race lead. The gap is 11 seconds. Todd Juice had another potential issue. It looks like it would have been out of the last chicane. He's still rolling. So we're not going to fall for it this time. The Cherokee GP car definitely playing tricks on our incident counter.
I'm going to go take a look real fast just to see my perspective. And rewinding, I don't really see anything. Maybe, again, I think it's a situation where he just went a little slow in the corner, too slow, and went off. And the game was like, yeah, that seemed like an incident, even though it was nothing. Because, yeah, he was not wrong way around or anything. Gap has gone back up a second. It was 10.9 last time I looked, and now it's 12.3. So it's gone up a second between Miller and Kruger. Ooh, and Jason Blaney just had an incident.
Yep. Gives 6 right back to Tom Sears. You saw there's Collier right behind. So
yep. 2.5 seconds, and when you can't see the car ahead of you, you lose a little bit of motivation. But when you can see it, that gives you that little extra motivation to keep hunting. So Blaney may have just thrown a raw steak to the line. Oh, another lockup by Blaney there. Makes another mistake at the corner, and those rears are cooked. And that's going to allow Collier to get within a second.
Yeah, seeing Emma try to shave back down the time that she lost a couple laps ago. Blaney's in different lane. Smart move.
Realized there's nothing left in that run. The tires were cooked, and he's not going to be able to conserve them while fighting Collier. So it's better to go for the undercut and try to get the spot back by going long here. Probably for a set of hards, I would guess. Bit of a long pit. Relatively okay pit stop there. A little long. Let's say some damage.
That is a front wing repair.
Yeah, about to say. That was 5 seconds, so I was like, gotta be a front wing change, and it was. Yeah, hard set of tires. I think he's going to the end here, possibly. Because we're on lap 31. It's safe to assume Kruger, Sasic, Pressy, and Roberts all on hards probably can make it another 10 laps, so it's probably one and done.
You'd imagine. So this is actually a really good thing to point out. We're going to go on board with Kruger. Look at how different the left and the right side tires are right now.
Yeah.
Look how different all of that is.
You can see the grain.
You can see the graining going on. Emma's obviously been abusing that left front tire a significant amount, but that's how sensitive these tires are to the repeated lockups here. It has not been friendly. Obviously, left rear tire looks okay. Pan over to the right rear camera. Right rear tire looks decent, but it is that left front that seems to be wearing most of the problems here.
Yeah.
And if we look at the likes of Miller, consistent wear across all the tires.
Yeah.
Even if we look down at Sasak's on board, still consistent wear across those tires.
Oh, big lockup there.
That
nice
is...
aspect. Pressy.
Yeah, that is Pressy. That is the battle for fourth place. Pressy has fallen off dramatically too.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of touch here. He's good at short run, but it seems like one of his kryptonites so far this season has been long run when the tires really start to plateau and cliff. That really puts him under
Kruger
pressure.
just set the race best fastest sector 1.
Doesn't shock me because she was on the, like I was still on board with her when we were cutting through the cameras, and I could hear her just on those rumple strips trying to find as much time as she can to exit the corner here. And there goes Ben Roberts around Pressy like it's nothing, as we saw in the timing and scoring there, and that will put him up to 4th. But yeah, Kruger trying to find as much time as she can, make that car as legally wide as possible to get the best entry and exit in the corners.
Height still ahead of Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Height's on the medium compound tire as well. That's the interesting thing to note. Miller's on the medium compound tire still.
Yeah.
Kruger's on the hard, and her tires look worse. Dramatically worse.
In regards, Height did pit on lap 3, but that's not really that important in that regard. But it's also, she's spun a couple times and had many lockups, so she hasn't really taken care of those tires in regard to Height, who's not as was racing Miller, and after getting her lap back, has been pretty smooth sailing, other than trying to hunt down Collier in 7th. So I think it's a situation of apples orange a bit because of all the spins Kruger's had has really made those hards that maybe a little bit fresher just look a lot worse.
Jason Blaney off the track once again in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Height comes back down pit lane.
I think she's taking a final pit stop here.
There was the conversation we were having. Like, there's Caitlin Height back down pit lane. Blaney's still going, but right in front of Kruger.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Collier, next car up, had an off track here a little bit ago. Back on track, but now on an island in 8th place, knowing a pit stop's incoming for Collier. Collier also in the mediums. Tom Sears in the mediums. Zhu on the soft still.
Yeah, we know for a fact Zhu's going to have to pit again. As basically, we can kind of look for either Miller, Kruger, Sasek haven't made the pit stops yet, along with Pressy and Sears. They're going to have to pit. Roberts, Collier also going to have to pit as well, even though I think both did start on lap pit lane starts there, but they'll also have to take their first mandatory pit stop. And then you got Blaney and Height, who I feel like probably are good to go to the end, even though they're pretty far back. But it's safe to assume they could probably get 40 laps out of those hards. And Zhu, who has to pit again on a set of softs. So only 2 cars you could probably say are good to go to the end on tire life, and that's Blaney and Height. Everyone else has to at least make one more pit stop. And the question is the farther they can go, the more open opportunities they have. Because Miller, if he pits now, has to go on a set of hards and will be on the slower tire. We know Kruger could go for a set of mediums or a set of softs, depending on how long she stretches it. So Miller needs to open up that window and probably get to lap 50 if he wants to go on a set of softs, at the very least.
Kruger behind Jason Blaney still. Blaney's going to give Kruger the inside lane. Whether he wanted to or not, Kruger's gotten by.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kruger,
she'll take herself beyond Blaney's machine. And she tries to once again reel in the 12-second gap to the race leader, with at least a pit stop still incoming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did Derek Miller make a mistake?
Oh, he may have.
That gap fell quick, and I looked, and it was 1 second. I'm like, thought it was a glitch for a second.
It 100% has for Derek Miller. We'll see what happened here in just a second.
Oh, he spun.
Oh,
I just rewinded, but we'll play it on replay anyway, but he looped it.
Does not pit, but the battle now for the race lead is on. Once again, Collier in pit lane. He'll go a lap down here. Here's what happened. And we'll cut away if we see the gap get within half a second here. Oh, Just a lazy half spin, really.
And the thing is, it takes him so long to fire it up. It's 11 seconds, and he has to get out of the grass. He takes it slow.
And he does the smart thing, because otherwise he'd just loop it right around again. But that is rough.
Yeah. Now Miller, who was kind of controlling his own tempo, now... Oh, we see a spin in the distance there. That was 29, though, of Collier, so...
Yeah.
Unrelated.
So this was Miller's on board. And then we see Collier coming through. So he was going to have a little bit of a self-spin up here.
Yeah, a little bit down the lap here. We just saw it while we were, I think, looking board here.
Nope, this was Collier coming into pit lane.
Oh, maybe it was not Collier then.
Either way, Miller still leading, but it's by only about a second as Kruger goes wide.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just to answer your question, Collier actually looped it out of the pit lane on going into corner 4. Just for the viewers at home's record. But anyway, though, yeah, Kruger, again, Miller just got some breathing room there, and now a race that was looking like maybe a bit of a cakewalk has now gotten that second half electricity. Something you don't want if you're Miller, something you do want if you're Kruger, and if something happens to both, something you want if you're Sasek, as we do see a pit stop there.
Todd
Zhu making his probably stop to go to the end. Again, it's the first time it's the first time in a while that Kruger's seen Miller ever since, you probably say lap 10, lap 15. How will she handle being back in the second? And now there's also a lap down vehicle in between the two cars, as you'll see Blaney there, just in the middle. He's just behind Derek Miller. Yeah, he is on fresher tires, so
way fresher tires,
he wants to get his lap back. There's no like easy way for Miller to kind of let Blaney go if he so chose without coughing up time to Kruger. So Blaney's kind of stuck, if you will. As now he'll be under pressure here from Kruger.
You have to keep an eye, because there's Caitlin Height not far behind. Mm-hmm. And she'll be battling with Blaney here for the 7th position as it currently sits. Height looking set to possibly go to the end of the race here. We know that both Kruger and Miller have a pit stop to make in this Grand Prix by requirement. Miller stays out, so does Kruger. We approach the lap 40 mark. So the pit lane, the pit window for everybody is wide open here.
Oh, yeah. Only thing I'd say is Miller may want to go a little longer to give himself those, because he's not going hard. That would be, I wouldn't say not a great sentence if he takes them. He wants to go just a longer on those tires. We know he can really stretch them.
The question you really have to kind of ask is how much time is in those softs then?
Well,
because that's like you try to figure out like how much longevity is in those softs. We saw people run the softs for qualifying laps or for record laps. No one did a race pace run on them.
Yeah, and we know Zhu went 20-ish laps because he was on a set of softs.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, 18 laps. Yeah, on the dot of 18. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, again, he did have a few slow moments in that, so it may not be the best comparison, but it doesn't look like the longest tire. But the problem is that Kruger, when she pits, she's going on a set of mediums. Miller has to either go hard or softs because he's on the mediums. He actually goes wide there a little bit. That's going to close
Kruger
the door.
Comes in.
Undercut time for Kruger, while Miller has to stay out.
Well, so Miller's got two options. stay out as long as possible and potentially shoot yourself in the foot, or cover it up, take the hards, and drive defensively like what he did at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
Two options, both viable.
I think the question is, does he think that if he goes long, does he think he's got the time or the ability to catch back up to Kruger? If you the answer to that question is yes, go as long as you can. If you think the answer to that question is no, pit now and put yourself on a little bit of a worse tire and defend like crazy. Well, legally defend like crazy.
Remember that Miller and Kruger have already gotten together once.
Mm-hmm.
That was last week at Silverstone. So these championship rivals have already come to blows this season. And obviously 7 days, not enough time to heal wounds, if there were any. And it's not something that you just immediately forget.
Mm-hmm. And if you do want to see that incident, go check out the YouTube page of Aero Broadcast Network, where the full race replay is available. Shameless plug. But anyway, we see Miller not blink there. And I think that was the best chance if he wanted to, so I think he's going long. As we saw that in Phillip Island, where he went long. As you just see it drop in the chat there as well, the Twitter link as well, and the Agent Inc. if you want to cop some Aero Broadcast Network merch as well. All the links are in the About section and just currently posted in the chat. And if you like what we're doing, you can also subscribe as well. It is free, and it really shows that you do support the channel. Now, enough self-promoting. We see Kruger caught the back of Sasek already, and that gap is within half a second, and she is coming.
Yeah, Sasek's not pit either.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Blaney just made a mistake in height, got around.
That makes that a little bit easy.
Yep, now we can focus on Kruger and Sasek. Again, right now, Sasek, Miller's best friend is Sasek.
Yeah, absolutely. But for how long? Kruger's not going to sit behind Sasek for too awful long here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought was going to end up happening there. Sasek's like, yeah, not my fight. Not doing that.
Yeah. Got to run your own race.
Tom Sears in pit lane. Maybe.
You are correct. He is in the pits.
Yeah, he was in pit lane. Yep, I was right.
Got
Okay,
to
cool.
stop for a set of softs, which he's got to come back in again then. No way he makes it 29 laps, so we'll be seeing Sears again along with Collier.
I mean, it's a gamble. The worst he finishes is ninth.
True.
Like, that's like your guaranteed points at this point.
Yeah.
Gamble for it. Like, figure out what works and what doesn't. Because remember, this track is on the calendar next season.
True.
So get some information. See what works and what doesn't. See how far you can take those soft tires.
Just make sure you write it down, though. But then again, knowing the iRacing builds, 1 year in iRacing builds could be a little bit of a different scenario at the very least. It's still going to be the same thing, but you never know with the tire models, if slightly different. Or even the weather.
Miller still leads, but it's by only 16 seconds, and it's shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
Kruger is trying to set the fastest lap of the race.
Another, because, yeah.
Steal that bonus point away.
I was going to point out that Kruger, obviously when she had that wall tap a while back, long ago, did not have any damage because only a 4.4 second stop where she elected not to take it. As she just sets a green sector, it's a green lap there, 14.7 for troubles.
Yeah, if you have front rain damage, it's a mandatory 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to opt out of that one, unfortunately. But for Emma, obviously didn't have that damage, didn't have to worry about any repairs. Ahead of Tom Sears, who's a lap down. Now the first
Actually,
car a lap down.
yeah.
Now.
Speaking of that battle right there, Sears and Collier, that actually is for position. We saw it in the distance.
Yeah, Collier locked up there going into the hairpin. So Sears holding on to 8th at the moment. He's on the soft. Both of them are on the soft compound tire. And to be fair, they are both on the same strategy.
Yeah, they're duking it out for 8th.
I call it the wrong strategy, but the last time I did that, the person that I called the wrong strategy on won the championship. So,
not
doing that again. Not doing that again.
It's like we're high and mighty in the booth, and then we try to call things, and then it ends up blowing up in
Humble
our
pie
face.
is not as tasty as some think it is.
You can be the armchair quarterback all you want, or the Monday morning water cooler guy, or girl, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a situation. You call your shots, but at the end of the day, you may not know what works and not works. As Emma Kruger sets a purple lap there, 1:14.3, and coming. She's coming.
Absolutely. 14.8 the gap between Kruger and Miller.
It's like watching a fine game of chess right now. You know it's building, and you know Kruger's going to take the spot when Miller pits. But can Miller answer back? Looking through the rest of the field, Sasek, not really under pressure. At the very least, losing third, 10 seconds ahead of Roberts. Now just drift down to 9.5. Actually, it closed good a second there, so hold on a second there. But regardless, though, Sasek and Roberts all have to pit. Same thing with Nicholas Pressy in 5th position. He will have to pit again as well. There's a chance Caitlin Height could get herself a top 5 here looking at the numbers, because she's 5 point back on Nicholas in 5th, and Height's probably going to the end, so she can easily jump for 5th position, which if she pulls that off, that's going to be a great recovery drive, as we just see Blaney make a mistake and end up costing us some time there. And now
all that was for position. I want to kind of point out, all of this is for position right now. That's insane.
Yeah.
You see the strategy call here. Roberts has run 44 laps so far. He started pit lane. Him and Collier both did.
Correct.
Sears locking up those soft compound tires. They're not making them last. There's no way.
No,
Collier's been on those soft tires for 9 laps. Sears has been on those tires less than 5 laps so far. Height has been on her current set of tires, the hard compound tire, for 12 laps. And those are the tires that she will try to take to the end of the Grand Prix. Pressy yet to pit, Sasek yet to pit, Miller yet to pit as well. Kruger's been on those tires for 6 laps already, and the gap is already coming down to 11.6 seconds. It was at 16 seconds at one point. The gap continues to come down as Blaney hard in the wall, and that is race over.
That is race over for the one-time Hype Performer winner here. And he's not even going to be able to get points, as he's not winning the 80% rule anyway, so it's going to be a no-point day for Blaney.
Let's
take a look here again.
Just maxed out second gear, and then just as he tried to pull it back, it just looped on him.
Similar to what happened with Emma, the only difference is Emma didn't try to save it, and she went the other direction, and Blaney went the reverse. Speaking of height, just got around Nicholas for 5th while we were on that replay.
Yeah, Katie's doing a phenomenal job up to the top 5, trying to salvage a day for Prismatic Motorsports, and a day that went really, pardon the pun, but upside down. Seeing her run out of this race after only 6 laps. Caitlin Height in the top 5 here, trying to salvage a day. A really far gap between herself and Bren Roberts, but Bren still has a pit stop to make, and Caitlin Height on a roll so far. Getting around the lap car Todd Zhu. Yeah, she
didn't have that much seat time, at least when it came, like we saw other drivers coming along in this practice session. She only joined with about 3-4 minutes to go in qualifying, and she had that 10-minute warm-up, and she's really going into her own here, as Tom Sears just lost 7th to Collier, as I think he may have had a slight mistake.
Okay, these two are really close together. Sears almost made a mistake right there as we pivoted back to this battle. These two battling out for 7th place. Pressy's not too far out of reach. Again, Pressy has a pit stop, so do these two. They're going to be softs to the end. You'd imagine Pressy would want to get far enough to get to that point. But, again, Kruger 2nd place. Height up to 5th, Pressy in 6th, and Miller comes in. He saw the traffic ahead of him, could not afford to lose even more time. So now it's on. Kruger's going to take the lead of the Grand Prix here.
Yes. And Miller, I'm keeping an eye on what Miller's going to select here. Is it going to be softs or hards?
It is softs.
Softs.
You have to go 22 laps.
That's going to be a tall ask. And the thing is, he's got to push to catch Emma, but at the same point, he needs to make him last. And I don't blame him because he needs time to get that gap closed. There's traffic in front of him. Emma's closing it down, and you don't want to wait until like 15 or 10 to go, and then Emma's 2 seconds behind, and instead of having to close up 12 seconds, you end up having to close up 20 seconds in 10 laps.
Ooh,
this is doable.
Sassik's had an issue of some sort. Went wide, apparently, and he did lose a lot of time to Bryn Roberts. Lost 2 seconds and counting. Sassik was in trouble. He's harvesting energy now. You saw the blinking on the back of the gearbox there. That's a sign they're harvesting energy.
Oh, yep.
But he has lost a lot of time to Bryn Roberts. This battle for 3rd is heating up. As Kruger, the race leader, gets around. Not sure who that was. We'll see if we can get an eye on that. That was Taju coming into pit lane.
I was wanting to see if anything happened to Eli, and I'm not seeing anything major. Like, no loops or anything. I'm just seeing tire smoke and that. So, just natural, just down pace. And there he gets... Oh! Roberts and Sassik collide. They're still stuck together right now. Shades of Schumacher and Villeneuve in 97. It's like, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. Just Roberts, I think, went... And then Roberts going to let Sassik go back through, but... Wow, and that's going to open the door for... Well, Kite's still pretty far ways away, but... Interesting. And neither driver pits.
I was going to say, pit stops have to happen between both these cars. Both these cars have to pit at some point, and they have just let Kevin Knight have half of the gap away.
Yeah, it's now 17 seconds, 16 seconds, and we know that's a pit stop delta, so Height's looking good for a podium. We'll take a look here again. They have to probably pit now. Roberts goes for a move, as we'll see here, and just a little bit too deep.
Oh, yeah.
Nowhere for Sassik to go. That's kind of on Roberts.
And that's unfortunate because Sassik knows he's coming and tries to let him go. Roberts just overshoots it, and Sassik...
Yeah, Sassik just became, like, Roberts just became a wall that Sassik couldn't avoid. And then they got stuck.
Pressy in pit lane.
Mm-hmm.
This is the onboard.
You see again, just hard into the corner, and then Sassik just gonna be like, okay, I got this, and nowhere to go. The lane he wanted to take instantly got occupied and couldn't get on the brakes, and then and they locked wheels.
Still going on too.
Mm-hmm.
There they are, still hanging around each other.
They want to get just a little bit longer into the window to make those softs work, and they got enough gap to make it happen. But we saw Emma.
Bren just came in.
Bren came in. I was just about to say, though, when Miller pitted, Emma was about 9 seconds back, and that gap was 12 seconds. So it's about a delta of 12 plus 9. That's 21 seconds. So you got to be 21 seconds clear to hold your spot. And considering it was about 14, that's going to be about 7-8 second gap that Height's going to have clear both Sassik and Roberts when it all shakes out. And looks like math was correct, because right now Height-Robert gap is 7.3. Sound like a political ticket there.
7.4 the gap between Height and Roberts. Sassik 12 seconds ahead. Sassik, depending on how long he tries to stay out, could end up losing out to Roberts here ultimately.
Yeah, because he's within the delta range. He can be jumped.
Yep.
And we also know if he had no damage at the very least, it looks like his car is okay, so I don't think they'll clock him for a front wing change. But yeah, he probably has to blink here. I know it's probably not right, but you need to give yourself a chance to come back.
And there's the pit stop.
There he blinks. Yep. So Height gonna inherit the podium, and that is going to be for keeps at the moment. Well, Roberts and Sassik have a chance to chase her back down, though, or will their own fight and maybe allow height to sneak away? We'll find out well within 18 laps.
Yeah, I kind of want to point out that Kruger's right behind Roberts, just lapped Sasek. So Roberts 100% got lucky there. Sasek did have repairs. So Sasek did end up worse for wear there. Now a lap down. Roberts right ahead of Kruger in 4th place. Will try to hold on to the lead lap as he's got a battle with Caitlin Height. He wants to kind of start and finish in the next 18 laps.
Hit wide there by Kruger, though. But yeah, Miller not making inroads. That gap has been a stationary 12, almost 13 seconds for ever since Miller came out of the pits on 48.
.5 seconds the gap between Kruger and Miller. Miller just now going through the hairpin here. Really wide through that hairpin. Interesting line there.
Drivers like to take weird lines.
So Miller should close the gap here. Just a matter of how long will those softs last.
Personal best, 1:14.1.
Collier in 6th, a lap down. As well as Sears and Pressy. Todd Zhu may be effectively out of this race.
Yeah, he's just kind of... He hasn't left the pit lane over 5 minutes, so... Just trying to get back out there and hit the 80% rule. Yeah, looking at times, Miller set his personal best. However, looking at last lap, we'll see again as they're about to cross the line this time by as well. But looking at the times, it was a 1:14.17 for Miller and only a 1:14.24 for Kruger. So a minuscule gap for Derek Miller. So in the 56. That time by Kruger, 1:14.1. We'll see what Derek Miller can put down as well.
That was between Sears and Collier. Collier off track.
Ooh, you're correct.
In the sand.
Yeah, Miller went 0.3 slower than Kruger that lap, so it's not going well for Miller. Let's just put it like that.
Kruger around the gearbox of Brendan Roberts. Roberts going to run wide somewhat intentionally there to kind of just get out of the way of Kruger. Kind of accept his fate, goes a lap down. But his battle is going to be with Caitlin Height here in these next 16 laps. Kruger holding on to the race lead. Miller second. Caitlin Height on debut for Prismatic Motorsports, sitting in a podium spot. Didn't even get a chance to really set a good qualifying lap in. But made it in time.
Yeah, and she was a lap down at one point early in this race, and she had to get her lap back. And she did by racing it back. So yeah, we were kind of wondering early stop how that worked, and worked out good. She kept her nose clean, kept the foot to the throttle, and we were kind of talking in the pre-race that if she was joining, we know she's pretty strong. So again, hat tip to her, but obviously don't hand her that third place podium just yet, as we still got well over 16 laps to go. Meanwhile, Kruger just had a personal session best. First driver to break into the 113s, a 113.86 on a set of mediums. She is flying.
Yeah. 100% without a doubt, she is completely flying. Bryn Roberts holding up with her, though. Bryn Roberts trying to use Kruger's pace to really kind of just keep up and hopefully catch up to Caitlin Height and make this battle for third interesting. 1:15.0 for Height. 1:14.3 for Kruger. 1:14.2 for Roberts. So that's an 8/10 difference between Roberts and Height. So it is 100% still game on here for third.
Yeah.
Kruger trying to really just maintain pace. Collier back in pit lane. He was on the soft compound tire. We wondered when he was going to come down pit lane. This is it. It's probably be for another set of softs. And the question is, does Tom Sears follow suit? Probably.
I feel like he has to. I mean, those tires aren't going to make it to the end, so you got to just bite the bullet
on the softs.
Yeah.
No, there's actually something longer going on here with Collier's car. He's still on pit lane.
Oh.
Here, we're going to see potentially two reasons as to why.
All right, let's take a look.
This is Collier. Exhibit 1.
Okay.
And doesn't tag the wall.
All right, STK. That's reason 1. What's reason 2?
We're supposed to be waiting for one here. So we're following through this lap. There's exhibit number 2.
Oh, he has left the pit lane, by the way, while we're watching this. It was a 44.7 second stop. Floorboard damage? Undercarriage? Some minuscule things that can be patched? Like,
those aren't repairable. Damn, that's... I wonder if it is the incident limit.
Maybe. Ooh.
I don't think it would be. I thought those were drive-thrus, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, there's drive-thrus. We not see incidents on this thing, sadly. I think we have to wait till the end of the race.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kruger still leads by 14 seconds. Miller kind of resigned to a second place finish here as things currently stand. Again, not over till it's over. We've seen Kruger have the struggles she had earlier in this Grand Prix. So still 100% anyone's guess, but right now Kruger sitting confident and comfy at the front of the field. Miller struggling on the soft compound tires, as we thought would probably happen.
She's in one of those situations where, again, Emma doesn't really, I don't want to be mean to her, but I'm just saying she doesn't really know the limit of taking the foot off the gas a little bit. She doesn't have to push this hard per se, but it's something in her nature that she's just going to attack, whether it's lap 1 or lap 70. And that's good in a way that she keeps fighting, but sometimes mistakes happen, and hopefully that doesn't occur, but it's just going to be weird.
Emma at the front of the field. 14.8. Oh, it's trouble for Caitlin Height.
Uh-oh.
And that throws her right in front of Bren Roberts.
2 seconds is now the gap.
And less.
Just saying, mistakes can happen when you're not expecting it.
Here's what happened to Caitlin Height.
I think she mowed the grass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, just dropped it under throttle. Ooh, tagged the wall a little bit too.
Uh-oh.
See if she can hold on to third place here. Now the pressure's on. Prismatic wanting a podium. Can she do it?
It's going to be interesting. With 11 laps to go here, again, just threw red meat with a lion. And the lion's coming.
Roberts on the soft compound tire, but we've seen the soft tire compound. The drop-off is pretty significant now. We'll pull away the track map and we'll show what the weather looks like on track. 85 degrees. Track temp's actually cooled down compared to the start of this race. The air temp's gone up. Track temp's gone down. It's been cloudy most of this race. The humidity's gone down as well. So if anything, that should help the soft compound tires, but we're seeing that that's not the case with Miller, who pit about the same time Roberts did. Roberts pit 2 laps later than Miller. But Miller's falling off. Mirrored times. Roberts just a tenth faster than Height that time around. That's Kruger at the bottom of your screen. Height center of your screen, and then Brendan Roberts just now entering screen there at the bottom, the red and green machine. Kruger is still setting personal bests in sectors 1 and sectors 3. Pressi's had an issue. Yeah, he's definitely been off track. So has Sasek.
Uh-oh.
Sasek went wide in the hairpin. Both MBEM cars had a bit of an issue on the same lap. Caitlin Height having to be careful going through that corner. Very mindful on the throttle. Trying to just hold on to P3. 18 seconds the gap between Kruger and Miller. Gap continues to grow between the top two. Right now we're focusing on the battle for third.
That's close to what we got. It's going to be an interesting.
Roberts was 4/10 quicker that time around. So the gap's 100% coming down. 1.15 the gap. No DRS for Roberts this time. It's not a matter of if, but when.
Again, if you're rooting for Height, you're hoping the fall-off's hard for Roberts on those tires. If you're rooting for Roberts, you're hoping Height makes a mistake or falls a little bit closer that Roberts can get in DRS range.
Yep. Battle box pops up. He's within range. He's within DRS range. Falls out of it. They're locked up. Just a little bit. Going to cost him here. But he's been making enough inroads that he should be able to claw that back.
Yep. Activation points right around here there. He's not within the gap, so he will not get DRS down this straight. So he'll have to kind of just use Slipstream and hope he can get just a bit closer.
1.2 the gap. Going into the final complex. To the chicane. Roberts has a little bit more grip there still.
Again, it's just like watching. He just wants to get that one extra tenth. Just something. So he can get it down this long straight. This is your major passing opportunity. If you can get close, it sets you up for the rest of the lap. And he's just, it's like a dollar bill on a string. It's like it's right there. Just try to grab it and just can't pull it down.
Miller now almost 20 seconds behind Kruger. Sort of just resigned here. Second different almost every lap now between Kruger and Miller. Those softs have clipped. They haven't yet for Roberts. Roberts has been taking pretty decent care of them. Height's also on way older mediums, or way older hards, excuse me.
Oh, it's going to be close to the activation point. It's 1.4.
Not close enough.
No, yeah. Oh, car off ahead here. That's the 94.
That's Pressy. Yeah.
Yep.
Not for position here. So he let everyone go by pretty cleanly.
Yeah, he's 2 down
struggling here at the end.
Main competition is Collier, who's also 2 down, but that's a 20-second gap. Just trying to bring it home. That time by Roberts slightly faster, but slightly as in they both did a 1:14.5. It was an 8.9 for Height, a 2.9 for Roberts.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds here, and hundreds has been the name of the game. Still not close enough going down this long straightaway into the first hairpin. Height holds on. Now Roberts is in that range. Way better on the braking that time. Can he stay within the second range to get DRS here? 3 DRS zones here at Magny-Cours. 2 smaller zones on the penultimate straightaway and the home straightaway. And then obviously the longest DRS zone approaching the first chicane. Again, he falls right back out of that 1 second range at the DRS section zone. DRS flap did open though. He got close enough. 6 laps to go.
The answer to the question, Chad, I think they're asking. There's only two. Yep, there are only 2 DRS activation points on the circuit.
But 3 zones. No, only 2 zones, actually. I forgot the front straightaway wasn't a zone.
Yeah, because it's a little too short. Yeah, first one's going to be right about here-ish, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right there you'll see the sign. That's your activation point 1. And
Whoa, Roberts slowed down a ton.
Yep.
Didn't go off track or anything, just had a really bad first sector.
Mm-hmm.
Gave up all of that time.
And just to finish the point, activation point 2 is coming off 14, coming into the last couple corners for the start-finish, right? That's your second one.
Caitlin Height can breathe a little bit more. She's still got to hold on for another 5 laps after this, but right now, the battle for the podium beginning to look a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
"21 seconds, the gap between the front 2. Kruger doing really well so far. Holding on to it. Caitlin Height looking for a podium on debut.
Right, personal best.
Yep, 1:14.4.
Roberts got it back down to 1.5, though. So maybe invalidation, but he did gain.
Sasek 1:14.9. That's in 5th place. 20 seconds behind this battle.
Mm-hmm. Again, if you're watching right now at home, you're not missing anything up front. Kruger's got a 21-point-second lead. She is our current leader, Emma Kruger, and she's 21 seconds ahead of Derek Miller in 2nd position, who is well over 30-plus seconds ahead of the battle for 3rd.
57 seconds to be correct.
Oh, yeah. I misread that. 57 seconds. Thank you.
Tom Sears in pit lane could not make those soft tires last another 5 laps. He'll blink.
But he should be clear of both Pressy and Collier, as Collier is well within the distance of a pit stop, and Pressy is 0.5 miles away. So he'll be well clear. Roberts has almost got it within a second again. That one mistake cost him dearly. And looking at the chat one more time here, you could say Miller right now has got that Leclerc type beat, and Kruger's got that Verstappen type beat, at least going to the halfway point. Bren Roberts with another mistake, and that's probably going to be all she wrote. Yep. Go get the fat lady, get her warmed up. It's time for her to start singing.
Collier, purple sector 2. But Collier been on lap 55. Sears just been on lap 64. He's about to try to run for a fastest lap here. Try to take away from Emma Kruger. There's Emma. On
lap 68.
3 to go.
Because the battle for 3rd was their one down, so.
Yep. So Kruger leads over Miller by almost 24 seconds. Wasn't the easiest start of the race, but Kruger stepped up to the plate when it mattered. Doing a phenomenal job so far. Todd Zhu in 9th place. The first car out of this race. Collier back down pit lane.
Yeah, I know we were talking about lap 20. We were thinking that it was a situation of, we were wondering if Kruger could minimize the point damage because she kept making mistakes. She was almost falling to the hands of Nicholas Presley in 4th position. And She stepped back, got back on the grind, and she did need some help because remember, Miller had that mistake, but she was able to make that car work, make it strong, and she was able to get back around Sasek, get back around Miller, and right now 2 laps away from taking another win here in the High Performance Series. But she has made mistakes before on the last lap that allowed cars to close, so again, don't count that chickens before they hatch. She's not going to be celebrating until she's on lap 71 to 70.
Emma Kruger, as was said in the Twitch chat, on that grind set, 100%, leading in the Super Sprint Championship by 20 points. She's obviously leading this championship, and she's going to be extending that gap as it currently sits. And then she's leading the Champ Car Preseason Challenge as well, leading all 3 Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday evenings. She has been going ballistic.
Honestly, I feel kind of concerned and maybe a little bit worried for the drivers of the Champ Car Series, not the preseason one, but the actual one that's going to start up in March. A little bit worried when that season kicks off that, again, we talked about the end of last season that a sleeping giant may have been awoken, and I think it's now fully awake, and the rest of the field in the upcoming Champ Car Series should maybe take a little bit of notice as we've just started lap 70.
Final lap in the French Grand Prix. A lot of early drama, and then obviously we've had battling sprinkled in throughout. Welcome back to Grand Prix Racing Magny-Cours. Emma Kruger on her way to another World Championship race victory. Derek Miller sitting in second place. From pole position, again, we talked about it earlier, the trends don't edge well for him. If he starts on pole, chances are he doesn't win there. And that's been the case here tonight as well. Emma's about to add a 3rd Grand Prix to her repertoire. And the final sector now. 3 corners to go.
Yep. She's made a mistake here before, but
So far, so good. Emma Kruger wins the French Grand Prix. 3 Grand Prix victories on the season.
And
Derek Miller, still, you see how far back he is. Have to make some time. Collier off track.
Speaking of height, also gets the last step of the podium as she crossed in the 3rd. And now Derek Miller basically locked in the 2nd here. He's going to bring it home. Last corner, wondering what went wrong, but he'll still take a 2nd position. It's better than nothing. And he will take 2nd here. But it's going to be a Gear Cats sandwich as they've tapped up the top step and the last spot of the running order. Or finishing order, I should say.
Kruger with the race win. Number 3 of the season. Phenomenal drive, phenomenal recovery for Kruger.
Yeah, great drive.
Phenomenal drive here.
And as someone said in the chat, don't go anywhere. We still got the post-race interviews. We'll have we have the Winter National Anthem and Constructors, obviously, since they are both the same. Along with the top 3 of Kruger, Miller, and Height, they will all have interviews as well. So do not go anywhere as they're going to get lined up on the podium, and we're going to get that all nice and set up and sorted. Or, well, more Hardy's going to do that, and I'm going to sit here and watch.
That was the Belgian national anthem for Emma Kruger. Third time this season we get to hear the Belgian national anthem for Kruger, for Miller. And we'll see if Caitlin Height wants to be interviewed as well here. See if we can pull everyone in here, see if she's interested. We'll just pull everyone in here.
Yep.
And see if I can get everyone in.
There's no one else in the interview queue, so we'll have to manually drag.
Yep, that's what I'm working on. Alrighty, to our podium finishers here this evening. Emma Kruger, Derek Miller, Caitlin Height on the podium. Drivers, congratulations on your efforts here this evening. We'll start at the top of the list, Emma. Third Grand Prix victory here this evening in Magny-Cours. Wasn't the easiest start of the race. Kind of just walk us through it. Walk us through how you kind of pull yourself back together here.
Yeah, I gotta be quiet here because my dad's trying to sleep upstairs. But yeah, the hards were graining the entire stint. It was really, really bad to maintain temperature, especially through all those mistakes. But then as soon as I got on the mediums, especially with the lighter fuel load, it really helped a lot with keeping the tires alive. But yeah, and the undercut worked a treat as well, which is something I wasn't expecting to have to deal with considering I started on a harder compound. But yeah, had some unlucky moments with lap traffic as well, but managed to, and literally hitting the wall and not getting damaged somehow. I kind of lucked out of that. But yeah.
Derek, obviously, pole position here again, but just it didn't end up pulling off the race victory. Kind of walk us through your perspective, because you had the alternate strategy and it worked so well to an extent. Kind of just walk us through like where the changeover happened and how you ended up losing that time that you couldn't eat. Like, what was the strategy call there?
So I do think we had a good strategy going. 6 days ago, I hadn't spent any time on this track at all in my life, but we somehow made the pole happen, and then we had good strategy. We just got outpaced. I did have that one big mistake there, probably halfway through the race, but yeah, we just need to come back with more pace.
Caitlin, obviously, your debut came in right at the end of qualifying, learning on the fly. You end up on the podium, had to survive the onslaught there at the end from Bren Roberts. How much of it was learning on the fly tonight, and how much time did you spend coming into the night?
Well, I got a little bit of practice like earlier in the week, and I don't know, just the whole night was just sort of difficult. Like, obviously having no practice and throwing on the wrong qualifying setup and expecting one lap to do anything was just super difficult. And then, of course, like within the first 3 laps, I gave up like, I don't know, maybe an entire minute worth of time just because of several mistakes, just one after another. So while it's really great, I guess, that I am able to finish on the podium, it's just sort of like super disappointing with what I could have possibly done, but just, you know, the cards were stacked against me from like the very start.
Well, you made the most of it. You got, again, 3rd place here. You look at just how your race went, even from the start. You were working that uphill mountain, and to get a 3rd place on debut, phenomenal drive. Regardless, obviously a lot of people cheering for you throughout this race. Once you got back into the point to start climbing, a phenomenal effort here. We'll run back up the podium here. Obviously, trying to remember the track that is next week.
German. It's
Hockenheim. Hockenheim Ring. Yeah, there we go. Hockenheim Ring next week. Obviously, Caitlin, you're filling in for Robin Summer. But if there's anyone who want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours, Caitlin. Obviously, congrats on the podium.
Thanks, and I just want to thank Robin and Prismatic for giving me the chance to just come in here and try and score points. I know it's been super rough going with luck and everything with them the past few races, but hopefully this helps turn things around. But I just want to make sure that everyone on the team can take time for themselves and just sort of self-help, drink water, take your meds, get some rest, all that.
Obviously, Derek, Emma, both of you championship contenders. Both of you have to look forward to Hockenheim next week. Derek, if there's anyone who want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the second place, keeping the championship battle going into the midway point of the season.
Yeah, that's the plan. I just want to shout out Matt for helping me out again tonight, and Rob and SK all helping out. Yeah, hopefully we can keep this championship battle close.
And Emma, obviously race winner here tonight, third time this season. If there's anyone who want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours, Emma. Congrats.
Yeah, shout out Lily. Shame what happens. I haven't seen the incident or whatever happened yet, but I think that what happened on the radio there was not acceptable. So I think that's something we need to look at going forward. But yeah, shout out Open Medicine Foundation, shout out Rudy and Ben. But yeah. Thank you.
Well, all three of you, again, congrats on your podium finish here tonight. Congrats. Hope we get to see all three of you at Hockenheim in a week's time. But until then, have a good night and get some rest. You've earned it after a long race here at Magny-Cours.
All right.
Alrighty, obviously Emma bringing up the lap 6 incident with her teammate Lily Pelletier-Sharp. Obviously, a lot of things that we didn't hear in the booth, so there'll be some interesting things to go over there. I guess a little bit more than we thought there was going to be, but we'll kind of throw up some of the provisional points here. We'll start off with the results in just a second here. Here is the results tab. This is what the French Grand Prix looked like. 7th race of the season. Kruger race win number 3 over Caitlin Height and Derek Miller in 2nd place. So Caitlin Height first podium. I believe it's her first podium in Champ Car competition. Obviously she's got wins in HTL competition, but the first time in actual ABN competition she's been on the podium. Phenomenal drive for her, learning on the fly and adjusting. Out racing Bryn Roberts for that last podium spot. Bryn Roberts in 4th place. Eli Sasek down in 5th. At a Tom Sears, Nick Pressey, Rob Collier, Todd Zhu, and Jason Blaney. The top 10. Nathan Line, Lily Pelletier-Sharp, and Christina Ryan rounding out the field. We saw the lap 6 crash, how vicious that crash was. Gonna be an interesting debrief tonight as we get ready to head into the Homestead Miami Speedway Roval for the Champ Car Preseason Challenge tomorrow night. The championship does look a little bit different. As we pull all of that back up here, Emma Kruger, 123 points now to her name for Gear Cats. Derek Miller in 2nd place, 91 points for him. Sasek stays 3rd. Robert stays 4th. Tom Sears gains a spot up in 5th place. Close battle in the top 5 there. Jason Blaney, 6th place. Finishing 10th here tonight. Nick Pressey, 7th, ahead of Christina Ryan, who falls another spot here for the 2nd week in a row that she's lost a spot in the points. Wesley Jeanette in 9th. Rob Collier in 10th gains a spot on Olivia Hayward, who's only done 3 races this season. So Collier, it's the race of the part-time drivers there for the top 10 spots. Jacob Blegachup in 12th. Donnie Crouch in 13th, who missed the night, took some time off for himself. Caitlin Height, debuting, 15 points to her credit. Had a Lil Pelletier Sharp, Tommy Reynolds, Robin Summer, Nathan Line, Bryce Saucier, Taj Zhu. And then we scroll a little bit further down to all the rest of the point scorers. Rudy Valentin and Jeremy Breo, the last point scorers. 22 have scored points out of 25 drivers so far, with more time to go. The first half of the season ends next week at the Hockenheim Ring. We hope to see you all there. It's been a crazy week so far, and it doesn't stop. Homestead Miami Speedway Roval tomorrow night, and then the ARCS A-Squared Draft Sunday evening. The teams picked their drivers for the 2023 Darkside Mustangs A-Squared Cup Series season, and then HTL Cup Series action back on Monday at Kansas Speedway. So the action keeps coming pretty fast here on ABN. On behalf of my co-commentator Kevin Young, on behalf of everyone here from the ABN Hyper Formula Championship and Magny-Cours, I'm Carmen Hardy. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody.